my little dance for a second? Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Horr0r Metal Cast. We've got cool little theme music tonight since we took a little brief hiatus. Joe's getting down. I love it. I love it.
What's up?
All right. We are here, and thank you for tuning in. Huh?
Gothic entry there. That's a gothic, huge, big gothic entry. Hello, Steve. How are you? How you doing?
Hello, Joseph. I'm good. How are you?
I am breathing and alive and well, and
Yeah.
back from vacation. We went on an amazing vacation.
Yes, it was wonderful.
I'm still wearing the garb from the vacation. I never came.
Yeah.
I never came off. I'm still on.
Yeah. Hey, you got to live in vacation mode sometimes to get through it.
Like this from the cruise ship still. I'm going like this. You want change? I need change. Here you go, because I'm going back and forth. And people think I got to pee most of the time. It's pretty. No, but how's everybody doing out there tonight? Awesome. Hello.
Yes, we are here. So we had a brief 3-week hiatus because of work and because of vacation, which is the most important part. We had an awesome trip. We went on a cruise with it was Joe and I, my husband, and then his wife, my sister. And we just had so much fun. We went to 2 stops in Mexico and Belize and Honduras, and it was fantastic.
Well, we did. Christy and I did 2 days in Louisiana first, in New Orleans, just the 2 of us before Stevie and Justin got down there, which was a Saturday, Friday and Saturday. And, man, I'll tell you what, I absolutely adored the culture down there. The feel, the vibe of the place, just it's got this low hum electric underneath it the whole time you're there.
New Orleans is a really enchanting city. It's probably one of my favorite places in the whole country. Just like I said, enchanting is just the best word I can use for it. The culture, the people, the history. Just basically everything. And I mean, again, this is a horror podcast and metal podcast. So speaking of that, and then kind of tying into New Orleans, you visited some cemeteries, right?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to touch on that tonight too, because there was some really interesting things that happened down there to us. Chrissy's not a believer, it's not that she doesn't believe so much, is that she's not like nervous with it. She doesn't get like all whacked out, and I'm like, poltergeist, I lose my cookies, and I get all twisted up. But I have a very, for lack of a better term, sixth sense, and I feel things, and I kind of know when things aren't right in that department. And Chrissy kind of felt some things too, especially that night. And you know what? I mean, it's rare that she does not want to stay in an area. And one of the cemeteries we actually had to like walk out of. There was an app that we downloaded, and I don't know, everybody's like, oh, you download an app to look at, to talk to ghosts. But apparently what this thing does is, it picks up EMFs, and it takes, blank static, white noise, and turns it into, why is it got to be, and anyway.
Oh God, you are so.
It turns it into a word, like a phrase. It'll pick up words that are being said. Now, I realize that this is only an app, from Google Play Store. But the things that were being said to me through this app were I can't emphasize enough that the stuff that was being said you had to be at that location at that time and to understand what this thing was telling us. And at one point, that was at one cemetery, and I even got, I got fucking spooked. Okay, and I'm telling you right now, it is a culture that is steeped in folklore for ghosts and black magic and voodoo and all types of different magics. And the headstones that drew me to them there was two big headstones there. And when I got closer to them, because I walked into the cemetery, and immediately upon walking in, I had to look to my left. I was being, dragged. And when I did, I noticed that there were two headstones there. And they were in the shape of chess pieces, king and queen.
Oh, that's rad.
Yeah. So what I encountered there apparently was a voodoo king and queen. I am not sure if that was the king and queen, and I'm not going to say any names, but if you're steeped in your folklore and you understand voodoo, the initials were her initials were, well, her first initial was M. I don't remember her counterpart, his name, but those two tombstones drew me in. And when I got closer to them, this thing was reading off the hook. This thing it lit up like a friggin' Christmas tree. Didn't do it anywhere else. And the things that it was saying and the things it was telling me to do, it wanted to switch with me. It wanted me to stay there, and it wanted to leave. So I'm not sure exactly how that would have panned out, but I said, well, I got to go because there's a bus waiting for me. I got a coffee, so I got to go. I gotta go. And I basically exited as quickly as humanly possible, i.e. I ran screaming like a bitch. And,
oh my gosh.
I was in one of the cemeteries. The other cemetery, Chrissy actually had to walk out of it. And that alone spooked. To see her spooked or rattled in that fashion over something like that rattled me. So I'm going to tell you, because I can talk about this all night.
Yeah.
To keep it to a short, dull roar, it was amazing. If you believe in that stuff and you are into that stuff, you have to, if you're in the French Quarter, you absolutely have to go to one of these tours. You can contact me for information on the ones that I went to. I'd be more than happy to share that with you. There was so much going on there that, you're messing with things. And anyway, yeah. So we ended up staying 2 days in New Orleans, and I had I can't remember. A beignet.
Beignets. Yeah.
I ate bayonets there, and they were good. Yeah, they were good bayonets, and so yeah, I ate these things that are like, I'm Italian, so they're like Zapoli, Zapolis. They taste like Zapolis. You like the Zapoli, right? So yeah, and they're fucking awesome. These things are like, they're like Zapolis, but they're not. But they're good. But they're different. But they're awesome, and they're powdered sugar.
Yeah, they are like a staple down there. If you're going for breakfast and coffee, you definitely got to pick up a couple of those babies.
Holy shit, the powdered sugar! I was like, I was snorting it by the end of the day. When you giving your face in the bag, nothing, hun, I'm good. And when I get a hit, fuck, it was awesome. The shit was like, it was so potent and awesome that so I had beignets. Then we got on a boat, and we floated on a boat for like 8 hours down the Mississippi River that never ended.
It took forever to get out of there. Damn.
I'm like, I go out there dressed like the Gordon's fisherman, expecting to go out in the bow and, up and down. We're going seabound, and it's like, oh, there's a street lamp and a car, and
there's
doggies, right?
A whole neighborhood.
yeah, and it's just the craziest shit because it's miles from anything. There's a town down there that I want to look into a little bit more. A place called Pilotstown.
Oh yeah, that was cool at night seeing that.
That was like the coolest shit ever. It was in the middle of nothing. And we're seeing roads and cars are driving. Like, where the hell are you? Where are you going? You're in the middle of a bog, dude.
Wild.
Right? You're in the middle of a bog. You're literally in the middle of a fucking swamp, a mile from like sea. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where are you going? But they have a whole town, a whole culture. And I did read up a little bit on it. And apparently it was it was for the pilot. Pilotstown became Pilotstown from pilots, World War II pilots that were stationed.
Very cool.
Yeah. So with all that said and done, we did Costa Maya, Mexico.
Yeah, that was wonderful to see the ancient ruins, you know, the oldest things that I've ever encountered.
Chichoban. We went to Chichoban. We didn't go to Chichen Itza.
No, it was beautiful. Just learning so much about the cultures and the different cities and the towns, and just, you know, everybody was amazing. You know, it was truly a great trip. You know, where you didn't just go to just, you know, hang and get wasted or something. You know, you went and you explored, you had a good time.
Right.
You know, it was amazing.
You guys got to do some cave spelunking, kayak style.
Oh yeah, you want to talk about perfect place for a horror movie? Well, go down to Belize, and there are the Mayan caves. You know, we did the same route. So the Mayans believed that these caves were. Oh, yep, that's in Belize, the wet lizard.
I'll show everybody. I don't know if you can see it. There you go. All right. We're off to see the lizard. I'm sorry, Stevie. Go ahead.
You're good. You're good. So the caves, the Mayans believed that they were the entrance to hell, aka Xibalba is how he said it, which is cool because the only other time I'd actually ever heard that term was from the Dee Snider film Strangeland.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the name of the club where all the people would go in that movie. But anyway, I'm off topic. So it was really cool going in these pitch black caves. Yeah, pitch black caves with bats flying around your head. And just there was a moment where our tour guide, he was like, all right, everybody turn your helmet lights off. And we were sitting in complete darkness. It was pitch black. You couldn't put your hand, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. It was the darkest. And it was cold, but it was so calm too. But at the same time, you know, then my mind starts to churn, and I started thinking of that, you know, the film where they're all stuck in the cave system, and you've got the old miners that are like those monsters now, you know, and they're eating people.
Yeah.
And you know, we have the whole thing on video. Justin had the GoPro, and it's actually really funny because there's a couple times where Justin keeps saying that we're going to run into the creatures from The Descent. And
oh my God.
He even said, oh, we're going to meet some cannibals in here. So we did not meet any cannibals. There were no Descent monsters or Green Inferno cannibals coming after us. So it was we were very fortunate on the trip to not have any kind of horror film type, you know, scenario play out. Especially because we went to the ruins, and there's a movie about that too, The Ruins.
Yeah. I saw that actually.
So lots of really cool, you know, cool inspirations for some horror stuff that I could maybe write in the future. But it was a great trip.
Awesome. Yeah, that's what I thought. I heard a lot of storyline in what you were saying, so I'm sure you're gonna pick up and run with something.
You know, I'll when I sit back down and you know, get back into the writing flow, because I've kind of been taking a break from that. You know, and that's kind of segues into our next thing. We do have an announcement to make. We'll also be posting this on social media. Next Wednesday will be our final Wednesday night podcast. We are going to be moving Horr0r Metal Cast to Monday evenings. This is because I'm going to be working more, and I'm just not going to have the time to do it on Wednesdays. But fear not, we are still going to be doing a podcast. Fear not. It's just going to be on Mondays now. So
it's going to change. So to all the people who I posted to tonight on Facebook that said next Monday will be the day, I am wrong, right? I'm wrong. There's a shock. You know, I don't know where my right foot is most of the time. So on my left leg, I look, you know, my right hand, I'm like, it's over here somewhere, man. You know, a little brain dead sometimes, but I'm all right. So yeah, we are moving to Monday night, which should be interesting because we're going to be like a jolt of electricity on Monday now. You know?
I know. Which, hey, sometimes people need that on Mondays. Mondays are like, bleh, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's purposely why I don't work Mondays, is because I don't want to be one of those people that starts their week off and is like, oh, somebody's got a case of the Mondays. I'm just, nope, I'm not that person. Wednesdays are my Mondays. So, well, going forward, they are. And usually Thursdays are my Mondays. But yeah, so October 1st, 2018, that will be our official new start date of Horror Metal Cast on Monday evenings.
Yeah.
Same time. But
that'll be coming back with some guests. We'll be doing some more guests, and we'll be doing some more things. That we had Bobby here the last time out.
Yeah, what a great show! That was such
that was a great show. That was just off the hook. We had a lot of fun with that, and I'm sure we'll be doing that again soon. And I told you, it's not a shtick that they do. That's who they are. And when Bobby and I and Roach are together, it's like that. You know, even off camera and off microphone, we're like, that's just the way we are. It's awesome.
Higher energy.
I got something to share there a little bit that I'm doing that's kind of cool.
Okay, share away.
Another cover band. I'm in a cover band. And I posted, I don't know if you saw it, but I did post a video. For all of you that have my Facebook page, that you're on my Facebook page, I did post on the Facebook page a video yesterday of it. And I think I actually posted a clip of it on Instagram as well.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, I did see you drumming away. Yep.
Yeah, this is a bunch of guys. And Brett was a guy that I played with in Headcase before. Don I never played with, and I'll get to Jay in a second. Don and Brett were in a band a while back called Chronic Break Job. That's going back in the 80s and 90s. And I knew them back then, but we never played together. And they were like, you know, they're amazing. The band's amazing. They're great people. A lot of fun to talk to, be around, and to play with. So I got a chance to play with those two guys last night. And Jay was the bass player for a band called Explorer, who are out there. They're out there. I mean, they do a lot of like touring. They tour the world a lot, and you know, it's an amazing thing that they do. And I've known him forever, and we have always wanted to play together. We never got the opportunity to do so. Indirectly, we did it. We did it with CJ from Insaniac. We did tracks we did remake tracks on the record for Insaniac, and it was 11 or 12 tracks all the way through. And I never played a note with him. I mean, we did this all separate, you know, it was recording. So I went in and did the drum tracks, and then I was done. And Jay came up and did the bass, and then he was done on his portion of the bass tracks. And then, you know, whoever came in and did guitar work with CJ, and you know what I mean? But it was all separate. So indirectly, we worked together, and it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. I never had a chance to work with him in a room, and last night was the first time we actually all sat down together and played. And it was the first time we all played a few different songs we never played before. Like I've never played "We Rock" by Dio. As crazy as that might sound, in all my years in music, I've never actually played that song from beginning to end. You know, purposefully. I mean, we jerked around with things years ago, and we played a little of this, a little of that. But, you know, doing it that way, we played the thing all the way through. And man, I could not tell you how much fun we had playing that, and some older Priest and some Maiden and some Sabbath. So this is going to be a little bit of a heavier cover project.
Okay, cool. So are you going to primarily be doing like 80s stuff, or are you going to hit up some 90s?
Yeah, the possibility exists. Right now, it's, you know, we're going to stick into, you know, to some of the older stuff right now, some old Anthrax, some just a bunch of old stuff. And that's going to actually tie in well with another thing I'm doing, which was the Thrash Masters thing. You know, it's a little harder for us to get together because we're New Jersey's a small state, but it's not that small when you have to drive, you know, from one end to the other, especially after work and everything. So the distance is a little difficult for us, but we're working through that. And hopefully, you know, within another month or so, we'll reconvene and get that plow rolling. I'm very happy to announce that the Eat Lead demo as far as the recording phase is completely 100% done and returned to us. Yeah, it's ready. It's ready for packaging. Tonight, I don't know if Jimmy is, my guitar player, James Danzo, is going to be posting a track called Lewis Vision, which is another track off it. And to me, it's one of my favorite songs on the EP. It's only a 6-songer, 5-songer, and it's just a little EP, but it's a lot of fun. We just went in and did this thing, and it was amazing. So he's going to air that track tonight. I don't know if he's putting that up on the Eat Lead page on Facebook, or if he's posting that to the page, his Facebook, like personal Facebook page. But it is going to be up tonight, from what he told me today. So you could look for that track as a spoiler to the EP, because to me, it's definitely one of the crowning jewels on it. It's definitely one of my favorite songs. It was the last one we wrote for that EP, and it shows, to me, it shows the direction that we're going to be heading it, into.
Yeah.
Musically. And it was a lot of fun. So,
well, good. I mean, that's what it's all about. Honestly, at the end of the day, is you got to have a good time with it. And you got to enjoy what you put out.
Yeah. Oh, you totally do. You really, you have to enjoy playing it in order to play, and when you're not, and it's becoming a chore like that, then you're in the wrong spot. You don't belong there anymore.
Oh, exactly. And that's kind of like, not to go off track at all, but that's kind of why I'm taking a small break from the whole writing thing, because it was beginning to feel like a chore to me,
Right.
And I'm sure, maybe not everyone, but I'm sure that there's other writers and authors out there that, have felt the same way at one point or another. And, you can't really, I don't want to sit down and write garbage. I want to sit down and write, I want to sit down and I want to write something good, something that I approve of, something that I think is wonderful. So, if I kind of disappear into obscurity for a little while and, make a reappearance in 2019, then so be it. Maybe people will have forgotten me. But hey, I'll be back. I'll be back in the saddle in no time. So. Right. Right now I'm kind of, you do have to focus on the real world, and you have to focus on what actually makes you money. Not saying that I didn't make money with the books, but could I quit my job? And absolutely fucking not. I admire and I strive to be like the people that can say, hey, I'm a full-time writer. That would be absolutely wonderful. But right now I am focusing on work. And I am doing very well in my job, and I'm very proud of myself for that. So there will come a time again where I can say, oh, I'm proud of myself and the stuff that I'm putting out with writing, but I really had to get away from it. It was becoming a bother to me.
Right.
And I was not enjoying it anymore.
Right. With music, with especially live music, it's a little different because there's people around you, and you're all part of that mechanism while you're doing it. So you become enamored with that, and you really get into it because the people are into it. You know what I mean? So each experience is pretty intimate, and each gig is intimate and different. Every gig is different from the last, so it's always something different. But the repetitions up to those shows, it can be tough for a musician, especially the ones that tour. It's
I believe it. I can't even imagine.
Well, you get into that arena, by working hard, and you got to be very diligent with your practicing, and you have to have your shit about you 24 hours, 7 days a week. You have to be ready to rock at any time, and it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, especially for guys like me and other guys, that have day jobs and have families and lives that they have to maintain as well. It's very difficult, and a very fine balance to find to make that all happen and make it possible and make it work.
Your time management skills have to be like there. They've got to be on point, I'm sure.
Yeah. You're juggling the shit, and you're going and okay. So some days it's like, all right, you can juggle sitting down, have a seat, relax. all right, you're only going to juggle 2 balls today, not 20. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then there's other days like, all right, now stand on 1 foot. All right, now set your face on fire. Okay, now throw darts at yourself. And okay, so it gets a little crazy. It can be a little hectic, and it can definitely take you out of your element. And it's sometimes very difficult to do. But again, with the shows, especially, I mean, I speak for myself because I did some, to me, some really cool shows, and if people stay with you, it's like a big love fest. You know what I mean? It's really, it really is. It's just this big blanket of warm shit. You know what I mean? And everybody just is enjoying what you're doing, and you're enjoying them enjoying it, and you're enjoying yourself while you're doing it. It's just enjoyment. Like there's no other way to really put it. Other than it really is just like a big fuzzy warm blanket, man. And it's like crack. You get addicted to it, and you want to go back and get them. Of course, you want more. And then when you start running out, like you haven't gigged in a while, you're like, yeah, man, you want a gig? You guys want to go out and do a gig? Or you want a gig now? Just if you want it.
You're like tweaking.
Yeah, you need that fix. You're jonesing, so you got to get that fix in there, and you go out and you do the shows. For me now, the shows are a bit smaller, but not smaller in magnitude or gratitude. Just smaller venues. We're not traveling the world. Eat Lead is going to be going to Pennsylvania in November.
That's cool, though.
Yeah.
We're getting out of the state.
Yeah, well, we're getting
out of New York, getting out of New Jersey.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be going out to just over the bridge to PA and do a one-off show there real quick, and bring the Eat Lead stuff out that way, and hope everybody gets infected with what we do and enjoys it like we do.
I hope so. It looks like you got some exciting stuff coming down the pipeline. We can kind of touch, unless you don't want to. I was gonna say we can kind of touch briefly on the very mysterious subject matter we were discussing before the show. We can leave it a mystery and let you uncover more facts, and we can touch base on it next week.
Is anybody in the chat right now?
I don't see anybody in the chat now.
I'm not seeing anybody on viewer wise either, so I don't know if anybody's even watching us right now. But
it's all good.
I'll say this much. It came to my attention last Friday or Saturday night that there are a few places. And now I'm going to give you my disclaimer right now. I'm not basing this on anything more than hearsay and conjecture.
Yeah, well, that's why I called it a mystery, because there's not too much that we know yet.
I don't know the validity yet to any of this stuff, and I don't want anybody to I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable with anything. So I'll say that first, and then I'll say that I'm not going to put names on anything or places, but there's a place in New Jersey that bands play that some bands from New York do not want to play, and I'm not sure as to why. I'm going to find out the validity to that, because I may be directly affected by that. And I really, it's hard for me to say a lot of anything about anything with that. So because I don't know enough about it. I heard about it, and to me, it sounds very disturbing, and I want to know why. And it's not from a nosy standpoint of view. It's really just like, what would make that happen?
Yeah, well, especially if it impacts you, personally or professionally, it is kind of something that you need to uncover a little bit about. I would like to know from a nosy standpoint, and I'm sure our listeners and watchers would like to know from a nosy standpoint. So that's something that we can come back to it next week once we have more facts and everything like that, and kind of can try to uncover what is going on.
Right.
We have scene and why
we do have one. We have one viewer.
Okay, now. There we go. Hello, viewer.
Hello, viewer. Hello. You can talk to us if you want to. We don't.
I know, right?
We can talk back to you.
So yeah, so we'll table that and we will come back to it because I always do love a nice juicy gossip and some good drama. So yeah, we'll come back to that for next Wednesday, our final Wednesday show. And we're in our second half of the hour now. Yep, right on time.
Yeah.
So we are going to move into kind of like the horror stuff at this point and talk about remakes again. I feel like we keep coming back to remakes, and that's okay with me if it's okay with you.
There's so many of them being done now.
Most recently, I have read and heard through the grapevine that two very popular films are being remade for 2019. Candyman, which we just discussed a couple weeks ago when we were talking about like the urban legends and stuff, and as well as Child's Play. I
don't mean to cut you off, but I'm going to.
Yeah, you're good. You're doing it. Do it.
Do you think that perhaps, that you and I were on this feed talking about remaking movies just a week or two ago, that they went back out there and I think we're entitled to royalties, people. What do you? I think we're entitled to royalties.
As much as I would like that, no.
All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Not at all. But no, what I was saying was just that two very opposite ends of the spectrum there, Candyman and Child's Play. Just to kind of like just touch on what I've read about it is that Tony Todd hasn't been officially cast in anything for Candyman yet, but he is hoping that he will be involved. Jordan Peele is at the helm of this one. I'm not sure if he's directing, but I definitely know he's going to be producing it, which he's an incredibly talented guy. Get Out was awesome. Right. But Tony Todd said he's 100%. He's got his Jordan Peele's got his blessing to do the remake. And he said, is he involved? Not at this time, but does he want to be? He said, absolutely. So in one way or another, nice. Tony Todd's got to be involved in the Candyman remake. I don't feel like it would. I mean, and that's the thing with remakes. You get into territory where you do have to kind of introduce new things. However, it would be amazing if Tony was in the film. And then on the other side of that coin, Child's Play, there's no word at this time that Brad Dourif is going to be involved at all, which he's been involved, if I'm not mistaken, in all the Child's Play and Cult of Chucky and basically everything. He's been there from the beginning and up until the last film. He was involved with that one as well. At the helm of this one are the producers from the It remake. So sticking in remake territory, basically, these guys, they have an idea in their mind. They have a vision, a reimagining, if you will, of the Child's Play film, the original. And so I think they are going to completely have a whole new take on it, possibly. I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine Chucky in any other way, but we'll see what happens there. And I guess to me, Child's Play has never fallen into the realm of irrelevance, and because they had so many sequels or prequels and spin-offs and everything like that, so I don't think that Child's Play has ever become irrelevant. And I think a lot of the times with remakes, they are necessary evil because they help keep things relevant. Right. But in my opinion, I don't really know what a new Child's Play that's completely separate from the franchise. I don't really know what that would bring to the table. What are your thoughts on that?
You know what? It's hard for me to imagine anyone else playing Candyman. Certain things don't need to be touched. We've covered this topic a few times. I mean, that is definitely my outlook on it. A reimagining is one thing. We talked about that with Rob Zombie. A retooling of an original digitally, maybe, sure. Touching a classic and redoing a classic, I don't know. I mean, it has to be done tastefully and better than the original. And that is a difficult task to undertake, especially when you're dealing with. I mean, these are cult classics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Candyman and Child's Play are both, to me, they're cult classics, and you're ripping into a realm where you can't suck.
Yeah, no, and that kind of goes hand in hand with another remake that I read about, Jacob's Ladder. Speaking of cult classics,
right? Yeah, I didn't know that.
I don't really know why a Jacob's Ladder needs a remake. I mean, I can see both sides of it, why it does, because like I said, remakes are a necessary evil. So yeah, a lot of people don't even know of the film Jacob's Ladder. A lot of people have never even seen it, and I could see why you would want to do a remake to reintroduce people to it, so that way they will go back and revisit the original. But at the same time, like you said, you got to be good. You can't.
Yeah. The casting has to be spot on. I mean, it really, you gotta bring down the house with it. In order for me, for me to have it work. Otherwise, you're just detracting from that franchise or taking away from the movie itself. And I'm sure that if I really sat here and thought about it, I could probably think of 100 different examples of that happening. Why is nobody going after some things that weren't that were great and not touched upon heavily enough? With The Serpent and the Rainbow from years ago was a great movie that I think would be an awesome remake. There was some Stephen King things too that were done. Casting because of the 80s was a little weird, Gary Busey and Silver Bullet. I don't know. I don't know if I'm really feeling Gary Busey, you know what I mean? It's
God.
A little odd, you know what I mean? A little out there. Something like that I would like to see redone. Salem's Lot.
What about Pet Sematary? Because that is getting a remake.
Pet Sematary, I don't think really needs to be touched. Or Cujo, or Firestarter for that matter.
Firestarter is also getting a remake. That's on my list here.
How are you going to beat George C. Scott and Drew Barrymore? I mean, who are you going to cast to pull that off? Because, I mean, the acting in that movie, as far as I'm concerned, was pretty amazing,
Yeah, even for its time, it wasn't a real cheeseball film.
No, it was
done well, I think.
Very, very down to earth. I can't remember his name. The gentleman from Officer and Gentleman played Drew Barrymore's father. His name escapes me. That's good trivia.
Oh, I see his face. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I see his face and it's pissing me off.
Robert, I think it's Robert something. I can't remember his name. He was a big actor in the 80s.
Yeah. But anyway, I think even effect wise, like the effects in the film and like just how everything was it was
for its time.
It was practical and it was done well. And I don't know much about I have to dig a little bit deeper. I don't know much about the Firestarter remake. But I feel like I'm not really feeling it. The guy with her father was David Keith, by the way.
Yes.
Yep, that's who it was.
David Keith. Did somebody just chat? Did you Google that or did
No, I looked it up. Yeah, I looked it up. I cheated.
You cheated. Oh, look, a squirrel.
I'm gonna kind of look into that and see, if there's any casting decisions made or anything like that. As far as I can tell, I don't know. I just don't really know much about the new stuff coming out, but I don't think that's one of the ones that should be done. On my list, some of the other remakes coming out. Another fucking Grudge movie.
no need for that. That's like
Why?
Saw, you know. I mean, it's just it's to the point now where it's done. You know, it's done. You did it. It's done. We've seen it. There's nothing you're gonna do to incorporate anything new to that series and make it fresh or different. You know, it's gonna be the same. But then again, there's people, you know, who like the taste of pizza. And sometimes the pizza's good, sometimes it's not, but you love pizza. So you're going to keep eating that pizza. And you know what I mean? You're going to keep watching these movies as they come out. And that's just the way it is. A lot of people are into that. And that's cool. That's great. That's your thing. I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody's individuality. I always have. For me personally, it gets redundant after the fourth film, and it's still the same style, the same genre, the same affectations, the same scenarios. It you know what I mean? It just it becomes monotone to me. It becomes
the fact that the Japanese original films, The Grudge and The Grudge 2, well, I believe that there was a second one. I saw the original Japanese version of The Grudge.
right.
I only saw the American sequel. I don't know, but I mean, listen, there's already 4 of them. Why, or probably more in Japan? Why the fuck do we need to keep beating a dead horse? Like, what are we going to do with another Grudge film? And supposedly, from what I've read, it is not a sequel. It's literally another first film fucking being remade. So, like, why?
Right,
what was the point? Because I didn't mind the American remake of The Grudge. I actually thought it was okay.
And then you had The Ring, right?
Yeah, and The Ring was good. Then they came out with that garbage. Was it last year or the year before? Rings, another sequel. And it's just like, oh man, just stop. Because they're basically bordering. They're playing on the border to where they're going to fall into trash territory, and it's just they're putting out trash for the sake of slapping a name that everyone is familiar with. You know, for the sake of slapping a name on a shit project to say, oh, let's just milk some money out of this.
Unfortunately, that's what happened to, and this is a little off topic, but the Blade franchise. Not really. It was a horror flick in its own right. It was vampires.
Blade was fun at first.
I loved all of the films with Snipes in them. I loved every last one of them. I thought they were amazing. When he did the remake with that other clown, whoever he was, I can't even remember his name. No, I wasn't feeling that at all. I am not in any way, shape, or form a Tom Cruise fan. When he did a Vampire Lestat, I'll give it to him. He did it really well. So both films were great. And then you had this other guy come in for Queen of the Damned.
Oh, yep. I can't think of his name, though.
Right. And Akira played...
I think he was Stuart Townsend.
Right. And Aaliyah, I'm sorry, played Akasha, who was the Queen vampire. She did a great job. Now, again, you have a great storyline, obviously, that's Anne Rice, and to me, a very prolific writer. She's amazing. You have great characters. The characters are very vivid. She absolutely did in the movie. They absolutely did not do enough with a lot of the characters coming out, walking to the desert to watch Lestat perform. That whole scene in the book was huge. It was monstrous. It was like it had to be 60 pages long just on that scene alone.
Yeah.
And I mean, very descriptive and very very big. I mean, that was a very big point in that whole storyline because the Telemasca came in, and I was a fan of all these books. So all this stuff, everything that was written in all of the series was converging. Even in the Taltos books, everything was coming together in one spot there. And they just kind of, bitch slap this thing together, and he's walking down the road. There's Marius. Yeah, there he is. He's walking down the road. One of the oldest vampires. All right, dust him up a little bit, make him dusty, and it's like, come on, dude, this is like a prolific scene here. You got to, this has to be, out of all the shit in that movie, that one scene has to be spot fucking on. And you are so far off the point, missing the point by so far. It's like, how do you direct these things? And that's one of the biggest problems with these remakes. Not that I'm a couch director, okay? Don't know the first thing about it. Couldn't tell you. But I know a good movie from a bad movie. And when I'm sitting there and I'm watching, you know, something that I've read personally, okay, spin off on that. How much of a stretch is it from book to movie? When you see a book, read a book, and then you see that movie in front of you, is it a letdown or is it a pump up? Does it get, you know, does it get your goat right away? Is it what you wanted to see? Is it what you saw in your head? How much of that is superimposed over the director's vision? So now you're taking something that has been visceral, a movie, into your head, whether it was bad or good. That image can't be unseen now, right? It's in there. And now you got somebody else that's going to take this same tact as a lot of these directors do and just, you know, slap the name on it, push it through the door, you know, ching, ching, ching.
Yep, because that's all that's on their minds a lot of the time.
You're destroying the franchise, and you are destroying something sacred to metal, to hardcore metal fans everywhere. They're going to be upset over that. Fiction and horror fans, you know, you're going to piss a lot of people off, and you're going to turn a lot of people away from a great thing. So I would say to all of these producers and directors, please use care and great caution when you approach these movies to remake. And please use, you know, the proper care to leave the immortals alone. Don't touch things that don't need to be touched. Because you know what? To us, they are immortal. They are flawless, untouchable. And for you to come in and put your vision onto it, onto something that's already, that's like me going, look, I'm going to Greece, okay? I'm going to Pompeii. That would be like me going to Pompeii, picking up one of the people that was killed by the volcano and moving them over. I think you'd be better off across here on the road here. No, I mean, seriously, it's like, you know, do you want me to start moving people around in Pompeii? Probably not, right? You know what would happen? I'd probably get hit with a bat, you know? Somebody would stop me down. So to me, that's how the ferocity of it to me. That's how I, you know, and people say I'm a little overzealous. Maybe a hair sometimes on Tuesdays at 2 in the morning. Anyway, you don't want to fuck with these perfect movies. That's the bottom line. And I can't say it any clearer than that. Don't fuck with something that's perfect. Leave it alone.
I mean, I think if you think about it, all art is subjective, yada, yada, yada. But I mean, there's not a thing without its flaws. You know what I mean?
Right.
But, and the final, well, actually, there's 2 more on my list, but the one that really ticked me off to see in the 2019-2020 remake club was The Fly.
Oh, I mean, that's just why?
There's absolutely no reason for a Fly remake. For its time, I believe 1985, for its time, that film, I feel, was ahead of itself. The effects were awesome. They weren't over the top to where they were cornball or anything like that. You know, I remember being little, you know, the first time I watched The Fly, I mean, it had been out 10 years, but, you know, here I am sitting there, a little girl watching it, and it actually scared me. You know, I remember being scared of it, of the transformation, and how disgusting it was. And man, the makeup.
People think of Jeff Goldblum. I mean, he's quirky. You know what I mean? He's tongue in cheek, very comedical in his approach to things. How the hell is he going to? And he pulls this thing off like there's no tomorrow. I mean, he nailed it. He really did.
Who else? Gina Davis. You know, it's just fabulous. And you look at these people and how well they executed these roles, and you look at the special effects department and the makeup artists that put so much effort into really executing the film. And even, what was it on? It was on like a year or two ago, and I just randomly sat down. I was like, oh, let me watch this. And even now, it's not so dated as you would think it would be. Right. It's I chalk it up to great actors, a great script, great effects, and I think that film should be in the Timeless Club, and I don't think that's a film that should be remade. Like you said, maybe spice it up, remaster it, digitally fine tune it,
enhance it somehow. That's, you know, but don't I mean, George C. Scott and Drew Barrymore. Where are you going?
Yeah, that's another one. Firestarter. Leave it alone. You know, they did a couple sequels that were a little corny and all that, but you know, do another sequel then maybe.
Why are you fucking with Carrie? I mean,
that was
pretty good though. They did a pretty good job on that.
Yeah.
Again, you gotta. I mean, you're gonna touch a classic. You gotta have a pretty big set of cojones, and you gotta do it right.
And you gotta find the right people for it. Because I will say, as unimpressed as I was with the Carrie remake, I will say Julianne Moore made that film for me as the mother. Man.
She stood out on that film like a sore thumb. She was why that movie was even in theaters.
Yeah, I feel like, and you know, no disrespect to any of the other people involved in the project. However, Julianne Moore was the fucking shining star. She was the, and that's the thing is, every project is always going to have that standout performance,
right?
But you know, leave The Fly alone, man. Come on, that movie's fucking. In my opinion, it's in the Timeless Club. I really, really like that film, and I don't think it needs to be remade. And the final film on the list that as great as the original was, and as fun as it was, I don't think it's in the Timeless Club, and I do think it would be fun to see the remake of American Werewolf in London.
Now, yeah, you know, something like that. I could understand. I mean, to me, that's plausible. That's workable. Yeah. That's something
I think it's fun. I did, you know, we kind of discussed this before we went live. American Werewolf in Paris was more comedy, less horror, but still entertaining enough. I did enjoy that sequel. Probably one of like 13 people who did, but
well, I'll tell you what. I mean, it probably got more push than Wolf, what Jack Nicholson did, right? That was just saying, you know. No offense to Jack. I love Jack Nicholson.
Oh God! Wait. Speaking of Jack Nicholson, I didn't put this on my list because I'm not entirely sure. But no, it's not The Shining. No, don't worry.
I'll just shut my shit off now and walk away. I'm done at that point. You can't touch that movie. Do not ever listen to me, people. You cannot touch The Shining at all. Do not touch The Shining. The movie is fucking flawless. Don't touch the movie, okay? No. If you want to touch the movie, break your own fingers. Don't touch the movie. Stick them in a drawer and close it on them a few times, and you won't don't touch the movie.
Joe's being serious, guys. You better listen to him.
Am I ever that serious or forceful? No.
No, thank goodness it's not The Shining. But a rumor I heard was that The Witches of Eastwick is
why
getting remade, and I don't understand why. It was
why?
Even watching it now, like if you were to sit down and put it on, yes, it's dated,
right?
But it's so fucking funny still. It is really great, and all those ladies in that film as well.
Why do you want to remake it? Why? What would
know?
I could do it so much better.
I guess.
Dude, it was like tongue in cheek then. It was, flashed and done. It was.
Yeah.
Why?
It was,
look,
even
you want to waste your money? You could send all that money here.
Yeah, really. I'll take some donations.
We'll
I don't mind.
Every dime. We will take every single dime of money that you want to waste on that junk. Send it on in the trucks. Bring it right to the door. We'll take it right here, folks.
Yeah. I will. I'll sign up for that too. Put my name on that paper. I'll sign up. I'll take the donations. Just, it kind of, circling back, it kind of goes back to relevant.
You struck a nerve.
And what's there? I feel like there's got to really be a point to the remake. Yes, I understand reintroducing it to a younger generation and a newer audience. However, some films just need to be left alone. Some films just need to be left alone.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, can you imagine, totally not a horror film, but can you imagine remaking Gone with the Wind?
That exactly. What you can't.
Why?
You can't touch these things.
Or Casablanca.
Because you know what it is, and I'll tell you the truth. I mean, there are so many great minds in this world, and to me, and this is just my view on things, okay? There are so many great minds in this world. But how many different thoughts can come out of all these great minds? They're all going to think the same thing eventually, and pretty much that's what's going on. We've done it all. Creativity is different now. It's not about putting something different on the screen or on the radio. It's about putting you into it. And that's where the separation from good to bad comes from. You have to be able to take this thing and inject yourself into it. Mm-hmm. And that is going to show the individualism.
Well, and I think not to interrupt, but I think a good example of a film that did that here recently, I don't know if you watched it, it was called Happy Death Day.
Yes.
I adored it. The film gets a lot of shit, but hey, it's getting a sequel. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was wildly entertaining. I loved the horror and gore aspects to it. That film right there is a perfect example of, so obviously the writers, directors, and everybody, they're fans of Groundhog Day. There's even a nod at the very end of the film. It's not really a spoiler, but spoiler alert, at the very end of the film, our main character is sitting with her friend, her little man friend. I don't know what their deal is, but they're sitting in a diner and they're talking about Groundhog Day. And the guy even says to her, "Are you kidding me? You've never seen Groundhog Day?" And they kind of have a laugh about it. But that to me was the perfect, that was the perfect explanation as to why instead of remaking Groundhog Day, you take that same idea and you inject your own personal spin into it. Perfect. And make a whole new film. And then you make it really funny by even poking fun at the fact that you did it. Right. Where there's probably a ton of people watching this movie who also said to themselves, well, what's Groundhog Day? I've never seen Groundhog Day. Same thing that a remake would have done. They go and they look it up. They go watch the original. That is what I think Happy Death Day did well, and they accomplished it.
Well, that, Stevie, is actually the difference, the big difference between contrived and natural. Mm-hmm. And when it's natural, it's so evident and it's so real, and those are the movies that horror aficionados and people that really take this shit seriously take to heart. To remake those movies in a poor fashion or a poor light is the equivalent to walking into these people's homes, dropping your pants to your ankles, jumping up on their dinner table, and putting a big log right up on top of it. Okay? You don't shit where you eat. All right? And that's bottom line. You got to realize that you can't, people just get delusions of grandeur in their head, and they want to make millions of dollars. And some of these guys come out with the best of intentions and don't have the budget.
Yeah.
You have to be realistic in your approach and say to yourself, this is a big project. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to afford the kind of money to build the sets that were used in Lord of the Rings to make it a better movie.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't realize that you have to take what you've got and compromise with it. And improve upon something that already is in your grasp instead of continuously reaching, and then it becomes convoluted and your vision is lost. And
here you go, in a nutshell, right? And this is the simplest way I could fucking put it. If it is not broken,
don't fix it.
Not attempt to fix it.
Yes. Thank you. All right. Well, I think that's a good stopping point because we're here up on our hour. It is 7 o'clock my time, 8 o'clock your time on the dot.
It is.
We had a lot to cover this show, but we did it in a timely fashion. Look at us. I'm so proud. People.
It is awesome to be back here with everybody.
Yes.
We absolutely enjoyed coming in and talking to everybody and being with everyone. And I personally have missed everybody, and I'm doing something, as you can tell. My face is down. Oops, sorry about that. There's bubbles and all kinds of shit going on here.
Hey, it's all good.
Trying to open this up, and I don't think I'm doing a very bad job at it. Because what I wanted to do was go out the same fashion that we came in on, and I am just completely dropping the ball on this.
It's all good. We'll, there we go. In their head.
There we go. So,
oh, nice.
We are back from vacation. We are back in the fucking seat.
We're ready to roll next week. It stopped. What happened?
Oh, all right. So there you have it, folks.
Yeah, next week, same place, same time. Our final Wednesday episode. After that, remember, October 1st, moving to Mondays, folks.
Everybody, enjoy your week. We'll see you next week for the next episode. We love you. Have a great night, people.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
We're going to go out big, Stevie, right?
Yes.
Go out big. We're going out big. That's it. Go out big. All right.